Ardeshir Mohassess is an artist that grew up and was born in Iran and later on worked in New York City and combined two concepts on East and West together to make a third impression.
I was really happy actually that we are talking about Ardeshir today because his work, it's so reminiscent of, social critique, political critique, the protest. And I think I felt really excited that actually the time worked out that we can talk about Ardeshir's legacy and how as an artist he was sort of an activist, and he sort of made a translation of what's going on in his country in a very quiet way through his drawings. And he had a very sharp knife in terms of his criticism.
I think every day you and I and most people go through life glossing over, not even seeing anymore the many moments of negotiation of power that are part of everyday life. And I think one of the things that's so special about Mohassess's work is that he strips that away and forces us to see the sort of raw, unmediated version of life.
The whole Persian arts, if you look at it, most of the time is actually to serve the power. So having somebody like Mohassess who has always been irreverent, who has always been, and laughing about something is a very powerful position. It's very easy to mourn about something and get serious about it. But when you start laughing about it, then this is where you get the power, because then you are bigger than the other person. You can laugh at him because you just put him in front of the absurdity of his acts.
He's a genius. He's a very unusual person. One time I saw him in the street and he was walking and drawing. And at the same time he was laughing. In his mind, he knew what he was doing and he was laughing to the result of the drawing.
Body politics is a term used in Middle Ages for the society or people as a body. And if we think of each bodies or the bodies as a whole, it's a political act in the society.
We were extremely compelled when we met Sada, and she shared with us the sort of incredible legacy of this artist, and we're really eager to be a part of presenting the work for the first time in this region.
So the body of work that's on view belongs to one of the later phases of his work. One of the things that people often forget about Mohassess is that he's many different artists over the course of his career.
There are many different opinions about this, but I think Ardeshir's earlier work was mostly about society and other people in his work. But in this later work, specifically this body of works here, all of them, they're Ardeshir. And all the forms and figures reduce to one figure in the page.
The work becomes less culturally specific and more distant from the original biographical events, it becomes more universal. And in a way, it was a precursor, I think, to many of the questions and issues that artists are dealing with today about the body, about gender, about power.
This last or late phase of his work reflects a very different style, which was in part informed by his deteriorating health, but I think also represented a kind of new experience for him in that he had eye surgery recently and was able to see much better, ironically. So there's a kind of deterioration of health on the one hand and his vision changing on the other. And at the intersection of those two places, we find these works that are much looser, broader, more relaxed in a way, often incorporate color in a way that other pieces didn't, and more gestural.
Ardeshir got brief. It's like you have a plant and you cut extra leaves that get yellow and get to the main one.
Dr. Fan, one of the most experienced in the Parkinson's disease, told me that he's trying to hold him safe for like 3-4 hours a day, that he was able to work. That continued to that.
He is a pioneer of an art form that is unprecedented in Iranian modern history, art history. And he is one of the most significant Iranian immigrant artists that I can think of, that created such a large body of work outside of his country and that remained relevant regardless of the fact that he didn't live in the culture that he was born to, a culture that he was being critical of, and that, it's very optimistic for people like us, like Marjan, me, and Nikki, people who have spent most of their adult life and artistic career outside of their native land. And so, and making work that somehow tries to be relevant to our own community, but also the international community.
Whenever I think about Ardeshir, I think nothing but sweetness, and also his genius in what we call it economy of lines, that he could express the most amazing human pain with a couple of lines. One thing I loved about him is foreseeing what may come in the future in the world, in Iran.
Tanz means satire in Persian. Mohassess was not only a good tanz nevis, he had such a charm.
He was an incredibly important, not just satirist, but a figurative artist. And there is really no way to articulate, to even discuss the canon of figurative art out of Iran in the last 100 years without Mohassess being front and center in that conversation.
He would talk and I would see this amazing humor coming out of him when he was drawing. And I noticed the drawing is changing all the time. The drawing coming from caricature side to the artistic side. So that transformation, or that transition also made me closer to him. And I realized that, it's not caricature, it's something beyond caricature. It's